better than doing another war game or critical event right now, so you're going to appreciate that. But this brief will also be very applicable to what specifically the division OPTs just did, and in my opinion, utilization post your AMSP graduation. Okay, so this is going to be a little different brief than what you're used to for our guest speakers. Like I said, I'll introduce Colonel Hancock, and then he'll do his two buddies that were chewing the same dirt with him in Desert Storm. But this is going to be a little bit more interactive, and it's going to go all the way from the division down to the tactical level. Colonel Hancock's a graduate of the United States Military Academy, class of 72. Started in Germany with his first assignment with 3rd Infantry Division back when it was actually in Germany. Then over to Fort Drum, had a battalion command in the 101st, which is what a lot of this knowledge will be sent. I'll put my bias of the 101st aside, or I'll just shut up there that he happened to command 1st of the 327, which happens to be a pretty good unit. He also had time after battalion command as a strategy officer and command briefer in the Pacific. And he ended his 30-year career at the War College, and then from there was a JROTC instructor for 8 years before officially hanging it up. But he still has obviously interactions with the force, and that's why he wanted to be here today. So, sir, with that, over to you and your team, and thanks again.
All right, brilliant. Oh, I Mike. Before we get started, I want to introduce these two guys. You two guys stand up. Right, this is Richie Hagedorn. During the Great Desert Storm, he was an 18-year-old private. He ultimately was in the Army for 4 years, then in the Army National Guard for 20 plus years, and he is in the Nebraska Hall of Fame, National Guard. This is Jerry Tertechny in Desert Storm. He was a 24-year-old first lieutenant. He was my S3 Air, and then he became XO for my Alpha Company. He ultimately became a special forces officer. He retired as a colonel, did many dangerous and hard things, got his PhD, and ended up teaching at the Army War College, same department I was at but a later time. So give them a round of applause, will you? Okay, so to get started, I need the smartest person in this class. Does anybody give me the smartest person in this class? Who? Okay, I'm going to pick them. Good, good. You must be. You're 101st Airborne Division. Come on up here. You get to sit up in the front. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Before you go, who do you want to bring with you? You get to bring one person. All right, let's go, Rick. Get up here. Okay, you guys come on up here. Sit up here. You're my training dummies. That's what we used to call them back in the old days, training dummies. Right? So if I need a rule checked up or an answer, you come up with it. And don't worry, I'll help you out. Okay. So we're going to talk about Desert Storm. And I put this, not that one, high-tech thing, this right here by Robert Centino. He's written numerous books. I like Blitzkrieg to Desert Storm. And he says, as you can see, Desert Storm was the most successful campaign in U.S. military history. If you look at it, go, they do? Oh, yeah, yeah. When you read about it, how'd they do that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. Then at the very end, we're going to talk about some stuff that you never heard, but actually help make this happen. Now, these two gentlemen, along with 26 other soldiers and myself, are writing a book. That's not why we're here, but it's part of the reason why. We came up with this brief to kind of promote the book, but then when we went to Fort Campbell, they said, you need to go to the schoolhouses and tell the story. So you're the first one. In July, we're going to the War College in Carlisle and brief their faculty. And we're trying to go to West Point and to Fort Benning. But what is between us and you folks out here? Jerry, why don't you get up there and give our little spiel?
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? First of all, we got any VMI guys out here? Robert Junior Mill? Anybody? Couple? Up there? All right. Sorry to hear that. Class of 87. Cool. Piggyback off what the boss said. Okay, why are we here? Why in the world would I leave LaGrange, Georgia, where it's 75 degrees and sunny right now, and I can cut the grass in my shorts and a t-shirt, and come up here where it's 21 degrees and there's a blizzard coming in tomorrow? Why would I do that? Why would we do that? Any ideas? Because we're pimping a book. Right? We're trying to sell a book. Or that might be part of it. Okay. No, the real reason is family. Okay. It sounds a little cliche. It sounds a little canned. He can't really mean that. He's just pulling that out of it. No, you guys are family. Okay. You guys are our sons and daughters. You're our nieces and nephews. All right. 35 years ago, 30 years ago, yeah, we were young officers too. A while back, I had a full head of hair. Matter of fact, I was always the lieutenant who was told by him on more than one occasion, trying out loud, Tateshi,
Oh,
go
the
get a
brief?
haircut.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, so-
You guys are the next generation. You're going to fight the next war, right? It's going to be you. You're going to leave here. You're going to be those division planners, but you're also going to be battalion threes. You're going to be battalion XOs. Underneath you, you're going to eventually be battalion commanders, some of you. You're going to have lieutenants. You're going to have captains, and you're going to fight the next war. And it's probably something that you're not really even thinking about. Where might this be? Don't know. Did we think we were going to go to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait in 1990? No. What were we focused on? We were focused on Central and South America. We went down to Panama. They used to have a jungle training center down there. We went down there regularly. Joint Readiness Training Center. We didn't go to NTC. We went to, at the time, it was in Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. Like, that's where we went because we thought that we were going to go down there. August of 1990, everything changed, and we went and did something we had really absolutely no idea was on the horizon. We didn't see it coming. Now, we're not here because we're the pros from Dover and we've got all the answers. Matter of fact, we made some mistakes back then. But the reason we're here is, like I said, you guys are our family. You're the next generation. And hopefully we can pass on some things that we learned the hard way in a couple cases to you. So when you're faced with a similar situation, you might in the back of your mind be able to call up something we talk about here to negate and go, hey, that was actually a pretty good idea. Or I can kind of think this way and solve a problem. Does that make sense? Cool.
All right.
All right. That's why we're here.
Brilliant. So here we go with our first. Who's the guy? You go first, Major. What's your first name? Evans. All right, Evans, don't screw this up. All right. The guy on the left, as you look at him, who's that? Norman Schwarzkopf. Right. What school did he go to? The Marine. In Annapolis. Yeah. Yes. Right. That one. I want another guy. Get this guy. Too much of a smart guy. Yeah, this is Schwarzkopf. Back up. This guy right here is Benny P. Right? Benny P. Right? And this was after it was all over. Benny P. was the division commander of the 101st Airborne Division. Right? And I put this only up there not because I was the battalion commander in the 101st. Right? But because I was the battalion commander in the 101st. That's what he said. Desert Storm, the armor, and the Air Force were the thunder. 101st was the lightning. Why? Because of the capabilities of the 101st. Young lady, Miss EOD. Are you the one? Is this the one? Her? You ran a, wait a minute, girlfriend. You ran a mile. Is this true? In the EOD equipment in 10 minutes? Yeah, give her a round of applause. Yes, yeah. Right, that's almost as good as what I used to do, but whatever. I'm a badass when I was a young guy, right? So this is what I'm not going to, because this is getting recording, but this is what the Corps commander told Benny, because this was going to be so kind of out of the box. We're going to do this big old air assault. That's what General Luck said here. Benny, you're about to make air assault history. Don't F it up. General P's first name was Benny. Okay. In 2012, the Tactics Field Manual, I think it's 3-90, they give an example of a great operational maneuver for the offense and for the defense. For the defense, it was the Battle of Kursk in 1943. For the offense, it was the 101st Airborne Division in 1991. Right? That's what they thought about it. Oh, that's something. That's pretty awesome, right? So again, here these are the presenters. These are the folks, I talked about writing the book. Me, Jerry there is a young guy. These guys aren't here, obviously. And Rick, were you on there somewhere? Yeah, okay. We're okay. Yeah, right up here. Abstract right there back when he was a young man. Right? So these are guys we're going to do the present, right? This, since you just did a, or doing, I guess you're all planners, planners on, you've got 3 divisions, right? When you take a look at this plan, it's going to have 10 American divisions on it, right? And 2 armored cav regiments, right? The United States is going to throw in about 500,000 soldiers. We're going to think of the Army right now, more people than the Army presently we're going to put on this. This was the divisional or graphics, for a better term. Okay. So before we do anything about this, we're going to go back in time a little bit, right? And this is the history part of this. This is how the Army of 1991, the Army that went into Desert Storm, I call it the most lethal Army the United States ever threw into combat. So how did it do this? Why did it do this, right? Okay, so let's go. Back in 1973, when I came in, the Army or the United States had just signed the Peace Treaty of Paris, March of 1973. At that time frame, and it's exactly the same time I went to Schweinfurt, Germany, coming out of West Point. The U.S. Army was dysfunctional. We were broke. I can't tell you. And I'll give you the example. I report in as new Lieutenant Hancock, right? 2nd of the 30th, 3rd ID, 1st Brigade. I go, good morning, men. This is my first initial briefing with my platoon. Morning, men. I'm Lieutenant Hancock, your new platoon leader. From them, and you could hear these guys go, F you, F-U-M-F-U, right? And I'm going, yeah, this is not exactly what I was expecting. But if you study that Army of 1973, it was absolutely in character. We were terrible, right? Just terrible Army, right? So what happened? The first thing I think, and again, this is my opinion, was in 1973, in October, the Yom Kippur War. We see the Israelis almost get pushed into the Mediterranean. Why? They were using our equipment, they were using our tactics, and the Egyptians and the Syrians and the Iraqis and a little bit the Jordanians were not, right? They were using Soviet equipment, Soviet tactics, and the state of Israel almost ceased to exist. When you took a look at how much carnage on the battlefield was, you couldn't believe it. There were more tanks, APCs, trucks destroyed in Israel and the Arab states than there were in all of the United States, Europe. USAR didn't have that many vehicles, right? So it struck us, right? We're going to have to do something different, right? So over the next 17 years, right, there are a few of the things that come up. No more counterinsurgencies. How'd that work out for us, right? Yeah, we'll never do that again, right? We're coming out of Vietnam. We'll never have a counterinsurgency. Yeah, okay, right? And so from 75 to 1990, these are the things that sort of were for us when we wrote this book, came to us, right? Came up with RTEPs, the ability to have a standard for a platoon or a company or battalion. Anybody, what were the big 5? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Help him out. Come on. What? Okay, that's 4. What's the other one? Apache? All right, good. You don't have to do push-ups. Well done. Right? So those came in. So what are we still using? Oh, the same thing. Right? That's how good they were. 40 years later, we're still, well, no. Hey, they were good. Right? We were talking about it. They weren't sexy, but they were effective. Right? Power down leadership. What does that mean? No more micromanaging. Again, this is for me. The Army was corrupt. It was corrupt. Absolutely. Right? People were lying on their OR reports and all kinds of things. Right? It cleaned itself up. Internally, the Army cleaned itself up. Okay, no smirking here. I see smirking over here. I don't hear that stuff. Airline battle. What were the 4 tenets of airline battle? United States Marine Corps. What were they? Come on, dude. That's 1. 1 out of 4. That's 25%. Stop it. Come, that's not it either. Anybody know? Okay, so we had the nickname or the acronym AIDS, AIDS. I'm just saying, agility, initiative, depth, and synchronization. Real simple, but everybody talked that talk. We all knew air-land battle. We started in 1982. Who were the people that did that? You guys were. SAMs came in. Right along 82, 83. All you Jedi Knights, that's what we call the folks, right? And so you were bringing it out from where? Fort Leavenworth. Leavenworth was the center of it. All the big shots were out here. Vastasega, Don Holder, Don Starry, all these folks came up with this airland battle. More physical training, volunteers, thanking soldiers. Yes, by 1990, we were the world's best army. And it wasn't close. We knew it, 1990. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to switch right now. We're going to talk a little bit about leadership from the position of an 18-year-old private and what he thought about this now as he looks back about leadership. You're up.
Thanks, Colonel. When keep it right around here, when the Colonel called me and said, "Hey, we want to talk about what we did during the Gulf War. We want to talk about different things," and the one thing I talked about was leadership. I taught it for 10 years. Taught ANOC, BNOC, WLC, PLDC, was branch chief, assistant branch chief. And what was important to me, and I'd always bring this up, what I learned back in 1990, 1991, and what was important to me, and he says, "Rich, I need a couple slides from you. I need what was important to you." And I had examples of that. Now, all of us in leadership, we all have different examples of what leadership should be, ought to be, all that good stuff. People have good attributes, skills, actions a leader must be, know, and do. All this stuff that I take from the FM 22-100, these were things that were very important to me way back when. Why were we so effective back then? I mean, you got to remember, we take the 5th largest army in the world. We ran circles around these guys. But these are some of the things that I came up with. And this is something, all of us in your tool bag, you have somewhat tools that are important to you. But motivation is contagious. Back then, our leaders were inspiring and guiding us toward mission accomplishment. I'm an 11 Charlie. That's the smarter, the 11 series. I don't know if you all know that. And so all these different things, we had leaders that were for us, that were with us the whole way. The competent leaders, from our platoon sergeant to our platoon leader that was from West Point, these guys knew their jobs inside and out. When it came down to the first 4856 I received, was nothing negative. It was positive. It was for a MORTEP. We were the best in the division. So his battalion had the best mortar platoon in the division, in the 101st. Why? Because we gave the extra distance. Our leadership gave the extra distance. They knew about us. They knew what made us tick. We wanted to be like those guys on the commercial. That back then was, be all that you can be. That stuff. We wanted the helicopters and all that great stuff. That's what we wanted to do. And they got us to do that. Next slide. So set the example of giving the extra distance. That was our leadership back then. We had role models, and what did we do? We imitated that excellence. My old platoon sergeant, Sergeant Levesque, and then when I taught the ANOC and all these different NCO courses, always had what? A clipboard. Even today, I actually copy that all the time. So even that goes back all these years, 30-some years, I'm still doing that. Set and enforce attainable standards. I'm not going to get into that. It's important. Very super important. War fighting is a team activity. Build the team, the trust and respect for each other. For us back then, think about this, 1991, we knew what made each other tick. We knew what it took to get to the objective and do what we needed to do to run circles around those Iraqis. And it was so effective, it'd blow your guys' mind back then. But we knew our job 2-3 levels up as mortarmen. It was unbelievable, the excellence we had. And everything worked as planned. Well, who are we? Where do we grow our future leaders of tomorrow? We grow our own, and we learned it all with leaders like this.
I'll give you $20 for that too, buddy. Right. Just real quick, this is what the 101st looked like. If you're going to the 101st out of here, it's going to look a little bit like this, right? It was not brigade centric, but we had 3 infantry brigades, a DeVarty, an aviation brigade. The aviation brigade had 3 Black Hawk battalions, Apache battalion, a Cobra battalion, a Chinook battalion, Huey battalion, just a lot of capability here, right? And so if you talk about, and I know you folks have when you're at battalion level or brigade level, you have all the different support elements already embedded, right? Right. That's not the way this was. They were all broken out, and when we went to the field, we always took them with us, right? So we practiced, but when we went back to home station, you went back to a DIVARDI, you went back to a DISCOM. These were the division commanders. I just wanted to point out this guy right here, he became a 3-star. This was Hugh Shelton. Shelton became the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. P became a 4-star. Russ Adams became a 3-star, and then Tom Hill became a 4-star. The 101st, just saying, because of what happened, they had 17 officers became flags, right? And your present chief of staff of the Army, Randy George, he was a platoon leader, or he was XO of a company in 1st Brigade. That was me. This was my battalion team. Some of you guys, I don't know if you're going to go out and be battalion 3s or you're going to go straight to be brigade 3s and G3 ops and plans, but these were very talented. When you become a battalion commander, make sure that you utilize, just a little tip, utilize what you've got and encourage them to not think outside the box, but think hard and give you good advice. Because these suckers, especially this young S2 here, I'm going to talk about him later. He gave me the best advice going and saved a lot of people's lives. Right? So it's August the 1st, 1990. Where are we going? What's happening in the world? Yeah, no, I'm talking about anywhere in the world. Yeah, okay, fine. You don't know. All right, that's okay. That's an open-ended question. Too big, right? Okay, the Berlin Wall had come down, right? Warsaw Pocket. We're not going to go to war, right? The Army was getting ready to divest itself of about 40 to 45% of its end strength. We were going to go down to 495,000. August the 2nd, all hell breaks loose. Iraq attacks Kuwait. And in 48 hours, it now controls about 35% of the world's oil. Not only that, they take their tanks and point them south. That's not good. Because what's south? Saudi Arabia. So they're now going to control how much? 60, 70% of the world's oil? How's that going to work out for us? It's not. So within 24 hours, the United States Army, which was about ready to get rid of 300,000 of its troops, half its tanks and all that, yeah, decide we're not going to do that. We go to stop loss, right? When we do that, by August the 9th, a week later, our battalion, we become the division ready force. And for you folks that were in 18th Airborne Corps, those are the folks that push out the rest of the division. We're pushing out the 101st for the first time since Vietnam. It's going to take us about 45 days to do it. We don't get any break. Not that I'm still pissed about it, but I am, right? Because we didn't get to prepare. We just got on the airplane. We don't get to kiss our wives goodbye. No, not us, right? You can strike that part from the live stream there. I don't want to come back retribution on me. But anyway, these were some of the unknowns. We didn't know jack squat. Heck, people didn't even know where Kuwait was, right? Nobody thought we were going to fight in the Middle East. And so this is just a cautionary. You can be sitting here right now, and then something goes on, and you can pick your spot. And so the next day, give us those SAMs folks. We want them. They're the brightest, best and the brightest. Because that's what they did, right? Right? When you take a look at where the SAMs, they went to our staff, they went to Corps staff, and then they went to division. You guys don't know it, but when you come out of here, you're like gold coins. They do, right? That I'm just saying, right, that the generals divide up and parcel them out. But all these things don't know. What's our link? We don't know how long we're going to be. When will we attack? We don't know. How good's the Iraq? We don't know. Are they going to use chemical weapons? We don't know. We don't know nothing, right? We just know we're getting on the airplane. Okay, so you're doing your division exercise, and you take a look at the force structure of the United States Army. So you've got a bunch of divisions, the 10th, the 101st, the 82nd, or what? Well, they're light divisions. And how much mobility they got? Not much, right? So in a mobile war, in the desert where there's no flanks, you can go around. Where do they put the 101st? Covering force. And we see this and say, you've got to be kidding me. How in the heck are we going to do that? Well, it was difficult, right? So this is what it looked like, the Lawrence of Arabia type of stuff out here. But they, right, where's your flank? We don't have a flank, right? No, we didn't have a flank. We were right up here. There's 400 miles that way. There's no flank, right? Right. And what's across us? There's the division across from our brigade. And I'd pray every night the rosary. I'm a Catholic. God, please, just give me another night. Don't let them come across, right? So for the first 6 months, the 101st would send one brigade up here and be at the covering force. The 82nd was down here, and the 24th were behind us, right? If they broke through us, they would run into the 24th, and out here to the flank was the Marines to our right flank. This was early on, August, September, October. Where was everybody? They're not coming. Okay, they're not coming. Just a little bit about this, about reading history, right? Some through this, and I'll touch on this a little bit later, about a Vietnam story that was tossed on my cot. It was about the Battle of Ai Drang with Hal Moore. Does anybody know that story? What's the story? Have you seen the movie or read the book? All right, what is it? Talk louder so they can hear you if you're correct or not. And what was the problem? Was the intelligence good? How about no, right? I read this in October of 1990 and became very, very paranoid, right? And this will play out here in a minute. November the 8th, 7th Corps is alerted. What was 7th Corps? Okay, he does. What's 7th Corps? It's right. It was big. Well done. I knew it. Count on the Marines. Separate five. Wait, where are the British exchange officers? Do we have any British exchange officers? Hey, get on up here. I want to pick on you. That's where I want. Yeah, get up here. No, get up here. Yeah, come on. Hey, come on down here. I went to their staff college. Everybody else was drinking and having a good time in Leavenworth, and I was slightly not having a good time at Camberley, England. Come on up here. I want to torment you for a while. Have a seat. Right? It's payback time. Have a seat. I'll tell you what they told me. You suck. Okay. Well, anyway, where was I? Yes. Okay. So 7th Corps is alerted. We absolutely know we're going to go to war. We're going to war. Right? They're bringing 7th Corps out of Europe. Were they supposed to come out of Europe? No, there's no plan going that they're going to go anywhere except across the inner German border. But they're coming to Europe. They're coming out to the Middle East, right? So now what do we have? We have 2 corps. We're going up to that about 500,000 troops, and we're going to go to war because we know who was the president at that time. Say it loud. Well done, George Herbert Walker. He's not going to let us rot out there. Neither Schwarzkopf. Okay. So, Jerry, showtime. Jerry's going to give you the big plan.
Big plan. All right. Is anybody familiar with this at all? Have any idea what we're talking about? Yeah. Okay. Who made up that coalition? Who was there besides the Americans? Yeah, there was 500,000 Americans. Who else was there? The French, right? French division way out on our left flank. The French 6th Light Division. Who else was there? The Brits. British were there. What, 1st Armored Division? Right? 1st Armored Division, I think it was.
Yes.
Desert Rats. Right, where's my VMI guys? Not those rats. Different rats. Right, Desert Rats. Okay, they're there. Who else is with us? Arab forces. Where'd we from where?
Oh, wait a minute. He knows. Go ahead. Tell him.
Go
Where?
ahead.
No, God dang it. You.
Egypt's already Jordan. I think
No, Jordan was not
Jordan
there.
was not there.
We'll talk about them in a minute.
Jordan was the Emirates,
Egypt,
Egypt, Saudi
Syria.
Arabia, Syria.
Syria was
Syria.
there with her Hind
Syria.
helicopter.
So they're with us too, right? What other fighting force was there? United States Marine Corps, right?
Two MEPs,
Right. They're there too. So this thing is made up. There's a lot of different kinds of people here, right?
1 and 2 MEPs.
Right. What's the mission? What was the strategic outcome we were looking for? Anybody? What do we want to do? Get Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. Was it to invade and take over Iraq? No. That's going to come later. But at this point in time, what were we trying to do? What was the mission? What was our mandate? Get Hussein out of Kuwait, right? That's what we were looking to do.
That's what.
Okay. So you got a point. So what's the plan? How are we going to do it? Anybody familiar with this at all? What's the plan? Are we just going to charge right in there? Just come across the border? Because what are the Iraqis doing in Kuwait and like southeastern Iraq? What are they doing? And how long have they been defending? Months.
6
We got
months.
there and the invasion was in August.
August. Yeah.
Desert Storm starts, the air war in January. We go in, the actual ground war starts at the end of February. So they're in there defending for quite some time. How much of a defense can you put up in about 6 months? Pretty good bit, right? Pretty good bit. Okay. So how are we going to defeat that? What do they think we're going to do? What do you think they think we're going to do?
Right here. This guy right here.
That guy right there. If you're Saddam Hussein, what do you think they think we're going to do? Straight into Kuwait, right into Saudi Arabia.
How many people thought that?
Yeah, we kind of
Okay.
did too. Because remember, what's the mission? Get the Iraqis out of Kuwait. So obviously, if we're going to do that, we're going to go straight into Kuwait. What have they built right there along that border? Incredible defenses, armored forces, right? A lot of tanks, a lot of fighting vehicles, a lot of artillery, a lot of soldiers, right?
And so who didn't think that was a good idea? You did.
You guys.
You go, that sucks.
That's a dumb
old.
idea.
Oh, yeah. No, I talked to the deputy chief of plans, who was a SAMS guy, retired Lieutenant General Dave Pontoon, 4 days ago, about the SAMers. What was your job? You were at division, you were at corps, and you were at arson. What were you doing? That's not good enough to go in there. We thought we're just going to follow 7th Corps. They're going to knock their teeth out, and then we're going to carry them back to the POW. You brilliant folks thought we're not going to do that. We're going to do something, and it's not going to take us that long. So here we go.
What are my English cousins? What do you say? Back in time for tea and metals, right? Isn't that the phrase, right? Finish it off, bang us out. 7th Corps is going to go in there. They're going to knock them on their butts. We're going to come in behind, process all the POWs, and go home.
So
Okay.
This is the division, the 101st Division, right? And I need, I'm going to recreate this, right? And did I give the pointer over here? Good officer will know where I put it. Mediocre will say, where's the pointer?
That's just do not shoot me.
Right. So this was the famous Hail Mary or left hook. And what was planned to do is to get behind the Iraqis. Why are we going to get behind the Iraqis? Why? Exactly. And what else? When you get behind somebody, what happens? So good. Yes, that's exactly what it's like. Hey, is this guy he's going to be the head guy, right? Right. Okay, fine. They get a white briefcase or something? Yeah, you get it, dude. You the man, right? Whatever you said is correct. We're going to get behind them and unhinge them, right? So how are we going to do that? Well, we have limitations. Biggest limitations is, what are we going to use? Agility, initiative, depth, all that depth. What division can do that? Well, we got 2. We got the 82nd and we got the 101st. 82nd, yeah, we can deliver them. We talked about this. We can deliver them, except when they get there, what can they do? Stuck. What's those screaming eagles? Well, you can deliver them. Then what can you do? Well, you can move them around, right? So the first thing was this, and I'm going to talk about this. This was the establishment of FOB Cobra. When you see Cobra, think of a gas station. That's what it is. It's going to be 100 miles back inside Iraq, establish a big gas station. We're going to use 4 battalions, infantry battalions. So I always like to do this because I was part of it. We're brought in, all 4 of the battalion commanders. We're sitting there. I still think we're going to follow in. They're going to show us what we're going to do. I think we're going to follow 7th Corps in. First thing, they put up the map. This is back old when it was all analog. Take the cover off, and I look up there, and I don't see Kuwait, and I don't know where I'm at on the map, and I'm getting a little flustered because I don't see anything that I know. The second thing, I see the dreaded frickin' double shit. We're going to air assault, and everybody thought we're never going to do this because it's too dangerous, right? They're back there, Colonel Stewie. We don't do this stuff not in high intensity conflict. How can we? We're doing it. You Sammers think we can do it. I want to choke every one of you. Then the last, I'm just saying, I'm going, we're going to, and I see it. I go, that looks like a long way. It's 100 miles long. And then I see very here, they have at the tip of it, they have the 4 battalions in order of how they're going in. My battalion's first 327's first one going across the berm. And my face turned red. I know this because I felt it coming flush, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. Now, my brigade commander, obviously seeing that I'm looking like I'm asphyxiating myself, says, Frank, what do you think? The only thing I could think of was the weakest, sorriest hood in the history of hoods. Right? I go, ugh. Right? Like, I don't even know what else to say. Right? It looks like a complete freaking crazy. Some of the Sam guys, Sam folks, did this. Right? Okay, fine. You think we can do it? All right. So after this is established, the next day, 3rd Brigade is going to go 180 miles up to Highway 8 and cut the Euphrates Valley. So you have delinked Baghdad over here from your forces in your forces near Kuwait and in Kuwait, the Republican Guards, right? Brilliant. And then the 3rd day, 2nd Brigade is going to go up here and eventually go over and capture Talil Air Force Base. Genius. This is genius. Just got to be executed. Okay, we'll see. And to get out, the Blackhawks now can come back to FOB Cobra, and the Apaches, who are now whooping up here on Highway 8, causing all kind of damage, can refuel 100 miles inside Iraq. Okay. You Sammers again come up with another idea. Let us figure out how we can go 500 miles to the west and establish ourselves without the Iraqis knowing we're moving. So what they did is we went 200 miles south, and then we went up. The rest of the division, that was the convoy, went by C-130. Are there any? Well, we have it, right? Air Force guy, right? Right? The C-130s pick up, and they go up maybe 200 feet, and that's where we fly. I'm going, this doesn't feel right. I'm just saying, we go up there, it's like nap of the earth, right? We went nap of the earth, 400 miles out there. I go, I guess they're serious about this, right? So we go way out here and establish TAA Campbell. Okay, I threw this up here because this happened to us, and I'm just going to go over it here. On January the 28th, 1991, we're out up against the Iraqi border. Evidently, up north of us, there was a chemical dump that got hit, and sarin gas and mustard gas came back on us, right? All 3 of us, right? We were there when the alarm started going off, right? We were out there when we did the 256 and did all the testing. It came up sarin and mustard, and then we brought in I think it was a German Fox vehicle. They rent, sarin and mustard, right? I put this up here because here we get a letter, frickin' in 1998, 7 years later. Hey, we heard you guys got hit. Yeah, but that was 7 years ago. I'm just saying, right? You might have come 6 years ago, right? To quiz it. But anyway, they came and asked us about it. So in your planning, if you don't plan, I'm just saying, if you aren't planning, for your enemies to use some type of chemical or biological, you're missing the trick. They will, right? How are they going to take you on? I will bring you to your knees.
Even if it's an accident.
Right? Bring you to your knees. Huh? What'd you say,
Even
George?
if it's an accident like that. I mean,
Yeah, that was an
they
accident.
didn't use it on us. It
Yeah.
just got blown off.
It was and so how does this roll? 2023, Frank Bills, who was one of our NBC NCOs, has a heart attack. He goes and gets checked. In his bloodstream was a particular particulate. They didn't know what the hell it was. It was mustard gas. Yeah, who knew? Use of innovations. Rich.
Okay, this is a good slide here. It's good to talk about innovation because when we look at our Humvees that we brought into country, and that's one story. I know we were on a time deal, but one thing I want to talk about, we did our convoy from Fort Campbell down to Jacksonville, Florida. The amount of support that we got from the bridges from all the way through Georgia and Tennessee, it makes your hair stand up. It was the incredible amount of people are there to support us was unbelievable. But these vehicles that we're talking about, how did we camouflage them? Did we have some paint crew come out there? No, we rubbed mud. We went out there and got the mud and smeared it on there. That was our camouflage. That's number one. Number two, all right, so any air assault qualified air assault school people here? So air assault school, we talk about a deal called the Yohe device. That's putting two Humvees together, sling loading two Humvees. No, we didn't do it that way. We had a lot of camo nets. We took our camo nets, put them in between two vehicles, which didn't damage them too much, just kind of side by side like that. And that's how we were going to air assault into Iraq. And then the other one I thought was really cool was this. I never thought that I could actually back up a Humvee inside of a Chinook. You could do it because I did it. But it's neat it's like, okay, we're inside the Chinook. I backed a Humvee. But guess what? That was the way we're going to fly into. That was one of the plans to fly into Iraq inside of the vehicle. So if that thing crashes, there's no way to get out of there. And it was all the different things here that we came up with. And there was always people coming up with different ideas, like we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it that way. And when it all came to it, it all worked. So everybody had a little piece of the pie, even going down to the E4, E3, whatever, saying, I got a great idea. People listened.
Yeah, no, the interesting, almost all of these innovations were from the bottom up. They were not top down. Some colonel go, oh, I'm so smart. Let's put a camo net here and no, it was Joe Private that came up with it, right? How to do it. Okay, so intelligence puzzle, wake up the old man. Okay, so I need some more volunteers. Good. Yeah, you come up. Yeah, Brent, you come on up. And yeah, you come on up, right? Yeah, right. So this is what we're going to do. Yes, and I need one more person. You come up. Come on, you look like the smartest guy here. You just are hiding it, right? So who are you people? Yeah, you come up here. You are Sergeant Gonzalez. You're my S2. And this is the biggest thing about this. This is why the whole book was written and why these guys have got. You are Captain Delgado. Jose Gonzalez, 26 Sergeant. Jesus Gonzalez. Jose Delgado, 29. You're the intel. You're Colonel Hill. You're my boss. Get over here. All right. And you're Sergeant Major Nichols. Get over here. Yeah, you're Vietnam. You're hardened woodpecker lips. Both of these guys are. Okay, so what happened? Right. So it's this whole operation is going to go on February the 28th. 28th. I'm 24th. Excuse me. Right, that's Groundhog Day. No, it's not. So what occurs? 2 days before, these two guys are going to come to me, and it starts with the sergeant. The sergeant, in our area, we had 4 landing zones, 3 for the rifle companies and 1 for the Chinooks, right? In our very northern part where Jerry is going to land, right, there is a series of trench lines that says unoccupied. So he doesn't like that. You don't like it. And so for about the last week, they have been getting all the intel that they can get and trying to template it to come up with is this really unoccupied? 2 days before he hits it, says, it's not. It's occupied. So he goes and tells you. You come up, not going with brigade and division and court until you go, all right, well, let's go do it again. So you work out, you template it, put in all the coordinates, it comes up again. So now you go and get the S3 and then the XO. You do it all over again. There's somebody there. So it's now about 10 o'clock at night on the night of the 22nd. The XO tells you, go get me, wake up the old man. So they come in there and I'm on my cot and I'm thinking, you know, I'm asleep. They wake me up. Hey, Colonel Hancock, what? Need to come see that. Okay, fine. Better be good. So I come in and there is my S2, S3, XO, and Sergeant Major. And I thought, when I walked in, I thought my mother had died because there was no frivolity, ain't no messing around. There's serious business. And then they take me to the map. Damn. Right. So I said, fine, go get my vehicle. We're going to go brigade. So it's about 11 o'clock at night. We go to brigade. I take you. I take my S3 and my driver. And we go in and see you, Colonel Hill. Come on. So you're going to brief him. Right. And as you're briefing him, right, no, you were smart. Just saying, you are now an SES in the Department of Justice. You are a big shot making over $200,000. You're an SES, big shot now, right? You're a smart cookie, but you were young and young, right? Right. And so he has his own staff, and your staff is saying, sir, there's nobody there. It's unoccupied. So you finish and you start explaining that it's unoccupied. You're wrong. You're very polite about it, courteous. You don't suffer fools like. And I remember looking at you, and you turn red and start sweating. I'm going, oh, he's going to blow, right? And so I'm looking over here, and I see your staff giving me you're stupid. Why don't you go back and let us go to sleep? So I'm not real excitable. No, I'm a lot excitable. I know. So I go off. You think I'm going to get relieved. When I took my helmet off and threw it at his feet, which is probably a relievable offense, right? Right. And so when I'm through, not yelling at you, but sort of yelling, right? We started out with 20 people in the tent. There's only 2 of us, me and you, right? Right. And you tell me you're not going to move it. The air mission, for all you guys that have done this, air mission brief was done 4 days ago. We're not going to do it again. All the coordinates, and this is a night air assault with 300 freaking helicopters. We ain't doing it again. We're not going to change nothing. Okay, fine. Who was outside listening? Him. Great Sergeant Major. He walks back in and says, what if Hancock's right? And what if he's right? So I go back, don't sleep hardly anything that night, trying to figure out what I can do to ameliorate what I think is going to be a bad business, right? So in the morning, you relent and tell me I can move it south about 2 kilometers. All right, give these guys a round of applause. Well done. Well done. Okay, trust but verify. This is what my S2 Jose Delgado put up here, right? Wanted to you can just soak that in for a second. So exactly what happened. Okay, that was my conversation. There are we loading up. Yep. And there's the map. Over here, this map right here is the one I took in. This is this unoccupied, supposed to, and it's all over a kilometer worth of trench line. So what happened? Bad freaking news when we land, right? This is James Deake's painting called Lightning in the Storm, right? And in both these, you see back here, there's this hill or a plateau. Same thing back here, right? Where everybody's shooting. In that, it wasn't just occupied. It was really, really occupied. There were 344 bad guys there with an entire battalion. Why didn't anybody pick it up? They hit them. Exactly. Well done. What they had done is they had become mole men and they dug inside the hill. So they have like mini caves inside the hill. So when they put all these overflights and they checked and right, they were inside caves. Nobody saw them. They had 344 soldiers, 8 tons of ammunition, and 4 ZPU-4s, right? 4 of them, right? Bad news for helicopters. So when we landed, my lead company, which was supposed to go here where the trench is, lands here. So for the next 3 hours, we have a fight. Am I going to commit soldiers up that hill? Like, hell no, I'm not. Right? The same people, I'm just saying, that told me this sucker was unoccupied, kind of are, when you're getting up the hill, I'm sure they will be easy to, to push off. Nobody thinking, even me at the time, I'm thinking there's 30 up there. Yeah, was I optimistic? Right? I was off by a factor of 10. So what I decided to do is I'm just going to blow the frickin' hill off. How about that? How about this? Here's my rules of engagement. Saying, if you're there and I have a B-52 strike, I'm going to bring in the B-52. I'm just saying, I'm not going to go up the hill, right? So we had A-10s. We had A-10s. We have F-16s up here first, right? This was called in by a spotter aircraft. And then Jerry and his company, they called in the A-10s. We had 105s come in. What pushed them off at the final was the A-10 strikes. The A-10s, each one of them had 6 500-pound bombs, right? And so we hit the trench line with that strike. The first strike, I'll be honest, I put up here because I didn't know if this sucker was going to work. I didn't know if the last shot, it was 2 F-16s. Both of the F-16s had 2 2,000-pound bombs. No, I've never seen one go up, but I think that's probably pretty big. It was big. Looked like a mini atomic bomb going on, right? And I didn't want to place them. I'm just saying, Jerry's company was right here, right, moving to that position, and I didn't want to have practice sign. So after about 3 hours, they give up. This is part of them back here. These are the holes I'm talking about. They were all over this frickin' plateau where you couldn't see anybody. This is the ammunition. AK-47s. There was like 700 AK-47s. This is me over here sitting on a bucket. Me and my, yeah, I know it is. That was in the afternoon, right? This is inside one of their positions. We found a TV and all kinds of stuff in there. That was one of the 4 ZPUs. For anybody that knows Dick Cody, or who was the vice chief of staff, he was the Apache TAC battalion commander. All right, and so that's the story. These are our kind of lessons learned. Be prepared to deploy. No one will care if you're not. If when you go out to a division, you go, well, we've got, you don't know, you might have a day. That's what, well, no, I'm just saying, that's what happened to these guys. Richie was out having you were out in the field, right? And they're listening over the radio. And by the time they're coming in, well, we're starting to deploy, right? Jerry is the one that ran my DRF-9. He was out probably, where we were out at the nightclub or somewhere. And next thing you know, he's running the DRF-9 post for the next 45 days. Cram people and Blackhawks. Okay, that was particular to the 101st. Be clever and lethal. That's for you people, right? I'm just saying, when who you are, you guys are going to be planners, right? And then you're going to be something. You're going to be a battalion XO, brigade S3, battalion commander, brigade commander. Be clever, but be lethal, right? You got to be both of them. I stop with being clever first, right? And those SAM folks back in 1990, 91, they were secure clever, right? Okay, 101st, yeah, that's 101st. Have firepower available when you land, right? Expect chemical weapons. Listen to your soldiers. I talk to Delgado and Gonzalez probably monthly, right? Because we're landing 6 Blackhawks, each one with 18 soldiers in it, 4 crewmen, 14 infantry soldiers on. They're not going to make it. We're landing them in dark. They're not going to make it, right? And so those 2 guys, they solved the problem, and all those folks that were going there didn't go there, and they get to grow up, have kids, grandkids, and stuff, right? And don't assume too much. I'm just saying. I'm just saying for about the 18th time. Don't assume too much. I assumed there were only 30 people there. What if I had marched up that hill? There's 344 up there, and I had 60 up the hill. Not a good thing. So that's our briefing. You guys got anything before I turn it over to questions?
Sir, permission to make an analogy?
Make an analogy.
1st, 2nd, 3rd of July, 1863. Anybody know what happened? Battle of Gettysburg, right? Probably the largest battle of the American Civil War. What happened on July 3rd? Well, yeah, but July 3rd. What was the culminating assault of the Battle of Gettysburg? Biggest charge, right? You know what? One of the reasons why Union General Meade stayed on Cemetery Ridge and waited for that assault. Anyone? Why did General Meade Union General stay on Cemetery Ridge and wait for the Confederate assault? Absolutely. Fantastic position, right? They're in great position. They were getting stronger, good artillery. One other reason, over the past 2-3 days, the Union Army had captured Confederate soldiers from the other 8 divisions in General Lee's army. The only division that Lee had yet to commit was Pickett's division. It was the only division that was still fresh. So Meade knew that Lee was pretty much spent. Every one of his other divisions, and 2 other divisions were in that assault, not just Pickett's, but his was the only division that was fresh. They knew that because they had captured prisoners, and they knew what divisions they were from, and they didn't capture anybody from Pickett's division, so they're like, okay, well, he's the only one that hasn't been to battle yet. We can beat these guys because we have, like this gentleman said, good position. We're in a strong position. We have good artillery. They're coming across an open ground, and they've already been blooded. Okay, fast forward to 1991, Sergeant Gonzalez and Captain Delgado did the templating thing. The enemy we were going up against was the 45th Infantry Division, the Iraqi Army, and they had templated where all of these subordinate units of that 45th Division should be. And there was one that they couldn't find. 2nd Battalion, 843rd Brigade. Where do you think, by template, that battalion should have been? Right on that location, right on that unoccupied trench. Okay, so it's the same kind of thing. So what's the moral of the story is, be a history geek like us and read stuff. Usually you learn stuff. And some of the stuff they have you read here in this course from battles and wars from years ago, maybe even this one. Like, hey, you might learn something and go, wait a minute, those guys did it. This might apply here. Okay, and that's the thing. Just kind of read stuff, learn stuff, get better at stuff, and apply it where possible. Again, he took a template that was
and again, I'm real. It becomes very personal to me. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know, right? Because they would have, and we do it in the book. It took me a while to get. You gotta take it where you really don't want to go. But I said they won't see the Apache guard. They'll see the Blackhawks land. Blackhawks will land with their little red light, and they'll just rake that big head.